going on, Five Stripe fam? We have a special guest to help us preview the match this week against CF Montreal. We have Atlanta United writer for Last Word on Soccer, Chris Smith. Chris Smith, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. But yes, let's get right into it. And so let's talk about how the state of CF Montreal is. And it's obviously interesting because they've changed their name from Montreal Impact.
Yeah, it's something that seems to be happening more and more in MLS, and I think every time a team does it, it gets more and more controversy surrounding it. Surprising me with how much backlash there was from the Montreal move that Columbus followed suit as well. But for all the names, change the badge, like the change of badge and everything like that, things on the pitch seem to be quite good. Obviously Thierry Henry left in the off season as well, which sort of blew them in the air even more. But he seemed to have responded quite well. I know the win last night's put them top of the East for now. I know teams have game in hand, but I think fans would have taken this start of the season absolutely, given all the upheaval around the club.
And definitely, yeah. I mean, especially when a lot of pundits had them finishing around 13th or 14th. It's definitely a really hot start for them. But yeah, getting into that, I mean, they did play on Wednesday. What do you think that CF Montreal do well? From now on, I'm going to go by Montreal.
Maybe we could really just call them the Impact, but you know.
Yeah, right. Just for Branton.
I watched that last night's game, and I watched the 2-2 against Nashville as well, because I feel like a 2-2 kind of game can give you a real good measure of what they're good at and what they're bad at. They scored 2 goals, they've conceded 2 goals, and they've not won. So, to me, they look at best when they get Georgi Mihailovic in that sort of space between the defence and midfield, the opposition defence and midfield, sort of running at the opposition defence, because you've got Romel Kyoto and then one of, obviously, Johnson and Mason Toy up front, who can then basically split the centre out, and Mihailovic has then got a bit of space there to either get a shot on goal or play a through ball. The two strikers, whatever partnership it seems to be, seem to have a really good balance, where one will drag the defender out wide and the other one will run into the space. So I think if Atlanta allow them to get into transition and get on, I know that's a buzzword at the moment, but it is very relevant here, and allow them to get on the break quite a lot, that's where they're going to hurt Atlanta. Interesting one, and then I feel like I'm saying this in every single Atlanta game at the moment, but Santiago Sosa is going to be really important as well. If Mihailovic plays, obviously he picked up a knock at the time of recording last night. But if Mihailovic plays, it's going to be on Sosa to stop him getting the ball in the turn and stop him getting space where he can really split the defence open. So yeah, in transition, I think it's where the best. I think they're quite strong out wide. You know, Broguiard's a good fullback, a good wing back in the system to play. I think he's quite underrated, and you've got a few players like that can hurt you out wide. Plenty of pace, and then a solid base though with the likes of Piet and bits of Wanyama. So better team than they've been given credit for, but I think if you shut Mihailovic down and sort of keep a disciplined defence line and don't let Kyoto stretch too much, I think you can really shut them down at the other end.
Right, and yeah, unfortunately you are frozen right now, but we can still hear you, so we'll move forward. But yeah, so unfortunately Mihailovic, he did come off, and it will be obviously a question if he will start, and Wanyama didn't start as well. They are a side that rotates pretty heavily, so I mean, in that sense, it would be kind of difficult to see where we could exploit in their setup when you don't really know which players are possibly going to be playing. But to humor me on that, where do you think we could exploit?
Something I've noticed, as I say, from watching their games back and sort of getting into some of the clips, is they don't like balls being crossed into the box from wide positions. They seem relatively fine defending against a vertical team that's going to come at them through the middle, as I say, because the likes of Piet and Wanyama are so defensively solid. They seem to be able to shut that down quite well. But when teams attack them out wide and get in behind the wing backs, maybe catch them exposed when they've been getting forward themselves. When them crosses come into the box, I know against Nashville, John Cadiz caused them a lot of problems with those headers at the back, sort of putting it back across goal, and they struggle to defend against that. Now, the problem for Atlanta is I don't know if they've got the personnel to do that. Obviously, if Jurgen Damm's fit, he can aim for the near post and overhit the cross and hit the back post anyway. Yeah. We know that he can, but he is a dangerous player regardless of his frustrating end product. But beyond that, and obviously Brooks Lennon, but you look down the left and obviously George Bellow's exciting, but he's not quite shown that he's got that final third production just yet. And then whether it's Marcelino Moreno or whoever else on the other flank, really they've shown way more interest in cutting inside and sort of getting at centre backs rather than putting balls into the box, which against the right opponent's fine. But I think you're going to see a lot of Atlanta's attacks coming down the right and trying to get Brooks Lennon to whip those balls in. Now, obviously, the other quandary with that is Joseph Martinez fit and sharp enough to start after playing a good 70-odd minutes against Miami, and B, does he have that big leap in him that we used to watch him make so often for those big headers that he really had no right getting to? Does he have that in his locker yet? That's one of the things we're going to have to watch out for.
Definitely. And so, watching out for them, we kind of spoke a little bit about who their danger men might already be, but get us maybe a couple of guys that we really need to kind of look out for on the Montreal side.
Yeah, I think I've already mentioned a lot about Mihailovic, and Kyoto and their sort of dynamic of how one will pick up and run and one will stretch the defence to open the space. So don't really want to focus on that too much more, but someone that maybe I have mentioned but doesn't really get enough credit for me is Samuel Piette. He's a very he's not as much of a danger man as he is just a difficult player to play against. We've already seen the difficulty that Atlanta have had with the final ball this season and sort of making those dangerous ones happen despite dominating possession, and Piette's one of those players that's going to shut that down again. He's simple with the ball, he gets it and plays it off quick. He'll look to get it into the sort of whoever, either Mihailovic or whoever else is playing in that space. But when Atlanta are coming forward, he's robust, he's intelligent with his positioning, not scared of getting into the tackle, and more often than not, if you go into a 50-50 with him, he's going to come out with the ball and you're going to be left in a heap on the floor. And it's going to be interesting to see. I doubt that Zeke and be able to keep Piette at bay and maybe try and get around him. That's going to be an interesting area of the field to watch. And if Atlanta United go vertical, he's going to be the guy who's going to have to stop it. And I think he's got what it takes, to be honest, given the struggles that Atlanta have got at the moment on the ball.
Yeah, and so, we'd be remiss not to mention, though, what Montreal are going to be facing in Atlanta United at a full capacity Benz. And that definitely is, the 12th man in itself, for sure, at a lot of times, because, a lot of the players on Atlanta United have not really experienced this, and Miles Robinson did kind of even mention that in the presser yesterday about, they aren't ready. They aren't, fully expecting what's about to happen, because it is a different animal playing in front of a full capacity Benz. But, in terms of that then, for Atlanta United, what do you think we have to do well in order to, really get the 3 points?
Well, I mean, I'm quite jealous watching on, to be honest, because as you know, I'm over here in Britain. I don't get the privilege of going to the stadium and watching it live right now. So as much as I'd love to be there myself, I can even hear it through the TV, no problem, and I can see how much of a difference that the crowd does make. So first and foremost, I think Gabriel Yates has got to channel that and really channel what Miles Robinson's saying about, get ready for this. This is going to be a big boost now, because we've already seen from half capacity and limited capacity how much of a difference it can make. Atlanta even picked up some positive results last season when they had a few fans in, so it clearly makes a difference. If we're talking strictly on the pitch, I think again, the first thing that they have to do right, similar thing they had to get right against Inter Miami, which I think for large parts they did, is not allowing Montreal's danger men to pull them out of position. Ahead of the Miami match, I talked about Higuain's movement and how he sort of slips between the lines, or he'll get into the spaces between the fullbacks and the centre backs to try and draw people out of position. And that discipline is going to be really important again for Atlanta, because that's what Romel Kyoto, they're the kind of runs that he makes all the time. Try and run off the centre back and stretch him out, so it'll open up that passing lane. It'll be interesting to see whether maybe Inter will try and match up their system and go three at the back and stop that from happening. Maybe bring Alan Franco in. That's going to be interesting. But in terms of on the ball, I think you've got to get a lot of the ball to Brooks Lennon in those dangerous areas where he can get crosses into the box. As I say, that to me seems like Montreal's weak point. It's all about finding the right midfielder or forward who can come in and exploit that and start winning some aerial duels. But if we're going to hurt them, that's where we're going to hurt them is crosses to the back post.
Yeah, and so getting into that, I mean, it might be, okay, Montreal's 11, if we're going to try to predict that, might be a fool's errand, so maybe we'll just leave it to the Montreal fans for that, but let's get into possibly our predicted 11. What do you think?
I think the defence and if he goes with four at the back, it picks itself, doesn't it? At the moment, I think obviously your fullbacks are Bello and Lennon, and then I think the partnership of Robinson and Walks, although there have been a couple of scary moments, it's generally been very solid and they've looked after each other quite well. So if it's a back four, it's going to be those guys, and again, obviously Santiago So's in front of them. I think in midfield, it becomes a little bit more complicated then, obviously, because Ezekiel Barco's not fit. Emerson Hyman's looked really good so far in that midfield. And it's all about finding the right partner for him and who's going to really shut down Montreal's danger men while allowing them to get forward. I think as much as Ibarra's frustrated at the moment, I would like to see him get another chance in there, because I think he's got a lot to offer in terms of energy and that up and down running. He's very robust, and Atlanta are going to be coming up against a robust team in Montreal in that midfield area. So I think they need to match that. And then looking forward, if he's fit again, I would like to see Jurgen Damm come in over Jake Mulroney. I want to see Atlanta really get to the byline and really stretch Montreal and get crosses into the box. And then I think the rest of it really picks itself. It's Joseph up front. He's got a goal. He's confident. Let's see what he can do off the back of that, and Moreno on the other side.
Yeah. So interesting, maybe excluding Eric Lopez, who has been starting the last couple of matches. Has he been doing enough to really convince you, maybe of a starting spot quite yet?
He's getting there. He still, to me, seems quite raw. A couple of times I've seen him trying to sort of lead a counter-attack, and he's kind of run himself into a dead end, or his touch hasn't quite been there yet. He doesn't quite look sharp enough, but we saw in the Club America game what he was capable of last season, and there are flashes. I've spoken quite a bit in the past to him with Roberto Rojas as well, who obviously has a big interest in Paraguayan players and speaks very highly of him, and I trust his judgment a lot. So I think to rotate him out for this game and maybe bring in, as I say, to allow a shift over and find a way to get Jurgen Damm into that lineup and Marcelino Moreno, I think that's the right move for this game. But again, Gabriel Ain't is the coach. He'll see that on the training ground, and I'm sure he'll make a better decision than I could.
Yeah, he will ultimately decide where the direction of this club goes. But yes, so all in all, then you have I think it's fitting to be a really back and forth matchup, and it should be pretty exciting on Saturday. But what's your score prediction for this match?
I'm going to go with the same score that we had with Nashville. I'm going to say 2-2. As much as I'd like to back an Atlanta United win, I do think if Mihailovic is fit, then I think Atlanta are going to have a bit of trouble keeping them out at the other end. So I'll go 2-2.
Okay, yeah. I mean, even against a side that had played on Wednesday, so maybe like a fatigue might come into play, but 2-2, I think we'll take it. Right now, we need We need 3 points, but it is you know, we will take, I think, a couple goals maybe in the run of play that can build some confidence. That will definitely help us moving forward. But
Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Please let the good people of the internet know where to find you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and you can get me on Twitter at CJSmith91 and on Instagram at Chris_Smith_MLS.
And yes, please do follow him there. He writes some amazing stuff, so please, and yeah, his tweets, amazing as well. Really deep dives into LA United on a consistent basis. But guys, everyone, thank you for watching Scouting the Enemy. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. I've been AJ, that's Chris. Well, I'll see you in the next video.